Jody Harmon, the Forever Girlfriend, and we're going to talk about the quickest way that you can see change in your relationship. Many times when couples come to me, or especially women, they want to know, like they're at their last resort. They don't know what to do next, and they need to see change fast. Otherwise, they're just going to give up. They're going to leave. They're going to not even try. They're just going to live, their life in an unhappy marriage, and they're going to be satisfied with that. They just kind of give up. So if you are at the point of where you want to just give up and not even try anymore, the quickest thing I can tell you to do is this little secret right here. And the reason it's a secret is because when I tell it to women, or even men, they don't want to do it. It's the simplest thing that you can do to see change just within a couple of days, within a couple of weeks. Now, I've tried it myself. I know it works. And I try it on every relationship that I've been in, whether it's been at work with a coworker, with a boss, whether it's been with a friend, whether it's been with my children, whether it's been with my husband. So let me explain it just a little bit. Now remember, it is the simplest thing to do. It's also a little bit hard, only because you have to have some self-control. But what I found is that it's so easy. No one wants to do it because they won't believe me. So here's a little secret. The simplest thing that you can do in your relationship, any relationship, is to be nice. Yeah, is to be nice. So being nice means that there's no backbiting, there's no bickering, there's no eye rolls. Like, we're really good at eye rolls, right? So we need to stop doing that. There's no backlash. So what I mean by being nice is, I actually learned this from a parenting book. So back in the day when I had my little kids, I actually was having a really hard time figuring out like what was going on, and they were so naughty. And I could not figure out what I could do to get them to change. I wanted them to change. I wanted them to change so bad. I knew I was trying, but I wanted that other person to change. Well, guess what? It wasn't them, it was me. And this was the biggest change that I made in my marriage, when I discovered that the problem in my relationship was actually me, my attitude, and how I behaved was the biggest game changer. Like, I'm glad that I figured it out, but it just still makes me sad that it took me so long to figure it out. So here it is. I decided to only look for the good things that my husband was doing. Now, I know that sounds simple to some of you, but if you are grouchy and you're upset and things haven't been going right for a long time, you just are really kind of mad and resentful and don't care if they're doing right things, don't care if they're doing good things. But the problem is that you are so upset about everything that's going on in your relationship that you cannot see anything good that they're doing. Now, I know it sounds easy, right? But you are going to have a little self-control. But what I want you to do is notice the good things. So for instance, perhaps you're fighting and you're not having a very good day, and this has been going on for some time. What I want you to do is look for one thing. Look for one thing that you can do to say thank you for, to give a compliment for, even if it's, you look nice today, even if it's, thanks for pushing in your chair, or maybe they picked up their socks and they don't usually, right? So whatever it is, you're so used to looking at the negatives and the things that bother you that you forget that they do some good things too, right? So even if your husband goes to work every single day and brings home a paycheck, you should be thankful for that. Not every husband does. And if that's your husband that's not going out and getting a paycheck, we can have that conversation later. But I want you to notice the things that they're doing well. Now, the reason for this is, it's kind of twofold. And at first I started doing it because I was selfish. I wanted my husband to change, and I wanted him to change now. I was not going to put up with it anymore, and I needed change now. Like, it was so important that I got fast change that it was like do or die. Like, I needed change that fast. And so I knew I needed to change my attitude, but I was kind of belligerent about it. So I would you have to hold your tongue. That's like the biggest thing, is you have to hold your tongue. So if you notice that there's something going on or there's something wrong, you hold your tongue. You do not get to say it. Like really, you do not get to say anything. You do not get to show it in your body language. You do not get to say it in your facial expressions, and you do not get to say it under your breath, which I'll tell you that one in a minute. So you cannot notice any of the bad things. So if there's something bad that's going on, say for instance, your husband left his clothes on the floor, and normally you just go pick it up. So this time you don't get to say anything. You don't get to fight with him. You don't get to be mean about it. You just pick him up and put him away. But let's say that he turned off all the lights before you went to bed and you didn't have to. Well, say thank you. So I want you to acknowledge only the good things and give him compliments. Okay, so this is a marriage course, but you can use this in any relationship. For instance, with your children, if they spill a glass of milk, help them clean it up without being mean, without saying anything in return about making them feel bad. So you can only notice the good things. So if they happen to do something well, tell them. You can only notice the good things. Now, there's two things that happen with this. The first one is your mind actually starts looking for good things, especially if you have never done this before. And it's really hard, and you have to really pay attention, because you're going to ignore all the bad things, like completely, totally ignore them. You don't get to say anything. Even if you have to turn around, leave the room, turn around so nobody can see that you're just like, ugh. Okay, whatever you have to do, no one gets to see the negative behavior. So in a little while that will change. It won't even happen anymore, but only notice the good things. So if you have to, leave the room. If you have to, bite your tongue, literally bite it. I've had to do that myself. It actually kind of hurts. But the thing that this does is it helps you start acknowledging them for the good things that they do. And you're so busy looking for good things so you can say them that you don't even notice the bad things anymore. And it just happens gradually over a couple of days. I'm serious. Like, you can have significant change by doing this within just a couple of days. Now, the second part of this is, so you're changing your mindset to only look for the good things and to acknowledge them and to be more aware of what they're doing, of what the other person is doing. But in return, they actually change. So in every single person, and remember, I learned this in a parenting book. So in every single person is the desire to get more attention, to get more love, and to have more appreciation. So if you're giving that, then they're going to want more of it. And guess what? Then they start to change. Now, I know this sounds simple and you might not do it, and I feel really bad if you don't, because I promise this is the one that you can get the most change from. But if you then are giving the compliments and giving the appreciation and saying thank you for the good things that they do, they automatically start doing good things. So and start behaving and start being nicer in return, and they actually reciprocate and then start noticing your good things. Now, I'm not telling you to do this to change your husband, because remember, we can't change someone else, but we can change ourselves and what we do. And it really does work. Honestly, it really does work. So again, you're only looking for the good things. You're only looking for the positive things. And I want you to acknowledge them. And within a few short days, within a few short weeks, you will see significant change. The other person automatically changes. Like, you're not doing it to change them. You're doing it to change yourself in the way that you perceive things. But it has a way of just changing the other person. And I've used this in every situation that I've ever been in, with every relationship, whether it's a client, whether it's a coworker, whether it's a boss, when I was working, out in the medical field, whether I was in college, teaching college to my students, I used it with my students, whether it was with my children, I've used it with every single one of my children. And when I pointed that out to them, now that they're older, they were like, wow, Mom. And now they're using it with their kids. They're using it with their spouses. And so this is the simplest, easiest way to see lasting change in your relationship and to get a huge impact right off the bat. That's why I put this up here with number 1, so you can start making those simple, easy changes And honestly, it's just a mindset of looking for the good, looking for the positive, and in return, they will do the same thing back to you. So I challenge you to go try this. I know it sounds easy. You're going to have to bite your tongue. You're going to have to leave the room. You're going to have to ignore the bad things. But when you start looking for the good, you'll see more of them and it'll show up in your life. And this is my biggest secret. So get started on it.